This video has no beginning and no end. It's a video about reality, it's a video about parallel reality, how they work, and also the deja vu feeling. And it's on your perspective. And the reason I share this, if you know me, it's a different video from what I've done before. And I share this as a new perspective. It's a hobby, it's something that I engage and love doing. And I do this video for myself. I do this video with connect with others who have similar vibration because I've seen the effect, and also I have some curiosities I like to learn more about. So there's opportunity to connect, and also there's opportunity to share. And it's only a perspective. And the reason why I share this video is because always I had a question when I heard people saying about that the present, the past, the present, and the future, they're all together, the past and the future doesn't exist, I was like, how can you say that when I know that yesterday I've been doing shopping? How can you tell me that there is no past? And what I'm going to share in this video is a very simple perspective. It's a very simple way which came to me last night. And basically the video is in three parts. So one, I'm going to share a perspective about how the past, present, and future, they are the same level, they exist in the same time. You are going to understand it very easy. A 5-year-old, I think it will be able to understand it very easy. And then it's how multiple realities and parallel realities, how can we connect to them? And how that fits in the picture. Again, very simple. And also the deja vu, how the deja vu is explained. So we're going to take these three things. And again, it's a perspective. I'm not a scientist. I usually, in my daily work, I'm a coach, learning development, I'm into trading. However, this is something that I do on a side. There are many videos out there. As I said, I share a perspective only. And this perspective came last night because I had this question. So yesterday I was speaking with someone and I said I only have half answer. However, I was a very high vibration level, and then I was able to connect and to see, to remember things in a very clear way. And this is what I'm going to do. So point number one, how the past, the present, and the future can exist. So I'd like you to imagine this. Imagine there is a road. And there is one of those roads that is more like an earth road, like a little bit muddy. And today it has rain. Actually, it's raining. And there is a car going. So the car leaves a trace on the path. And after a few days, it stops the rain and it suddenly gets dry. However, the road has a certain path. Yes? And you can see the road for like half a kilometer. And then a snail comes. And imagine you have the same view with that snail. And the snail is on the road in one of the paths created by the car. So the snail moves very slowly. Okay? So imagine you have the vision of the snail. How will the time be perceived for the snail? So it will be like going very, very slowly. Yes? For the snail, let's imagine there's a 10-meter distance and there's a car coming. So the car, actually let's go back on the distance. I like to we'll take the car. So there's a 10-meter distance. For the snail to do that 10-meter distance, it might take 2 hours. So it will go in 2 hours. However, for us, if you're looking from this perspective, from where we are, it might take us 5 seconds, 7 seconds, depends how fast you're going. However, from a snail perspective, he doesn't see that. He only sees the small part in front of him. And for him, What's that? It's the future, isn't it? And then he looks back and he sees the trace that he left. And that's the past. That's where it comes from. However, us, when we're looking from that perspective, when you're looking from a higher perspective, from another perspective, you see the 10 meter ahead, you see the 10 meter behind, you know that if the snail keeps going, he's going to go, and you know how that path looks. However, the snail does not know how that path looks. And if the snail doesn't know how the path looks, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. What would you say? Exist or doesn't? You're able to see it, isn't it? So you see it, so it exists. For you, it exists because you see it. You see clearly the beginning and you see the end of the road. For the snail, it doesn't, because he has a memory of the past, he knows where he is now, and he goes somewhere he doesn't know. So for him, that's the future. Do you see the what I try to say? So it's the road exists already. So the past, present, and the future, they already exist. It depends on which level of vibration one is and how it lives that. Because if somebody lives at a very slower vibration, he has a certain experience the things slowly. The time is relative. The time for the snail might go different from the time for us. And the way how we live our life and how we think, it influences that. Perhaps you heard the idea of going with the flow, because what happens when somebody's in the flow? Have you heard somebody saying, the time flew? You enjoyed the conversation with someone, you enjoyed the moment, and you just say, my God, time just flew. Why? Because you enjoyed what you are doing. You are in the present. You enjoyed that. And when you enjoy that, we connect to a higher level of vibration, and the time goes faster. Or we perceive the time as going fast. It's my God, 3 hours, where? Because it's that we connect, we went higher on the vibration. And when you do the opposite, when you go lower on the vibration, so for example, you are bored and you think, and you're looking, my God, it's only 5 minutes that passed, because the perception of time is much slower. So it's exactly like what I said. For if you go like a snail, it goes very slowly, it moves slowly. Okay? And how can you see this? How can you perceive, have different this perspective? It's with the level of vibration. It's what we think, what we focus on. And I'll leave that for now. Imagine now there is a car coming. So there's a car coming and it follows the same path of the previous car. And now it's like 10 meters ahead. The snail only sees his present. He does not see the car. And he doesn't know what that is, perhaps, and he doesn't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know, in my mind, thinking now. However, you having a different perspective, like higher, you're able to perceive, and I think you're able to forecast the future, isn't it? That car comes, let's say, it travels slowly, 5 kilometers or miles per hour, it travels slowly. However, you know what's going to be the future of that snail, isn't it? Likely. You might be able to do something, because if you move slowly and that car drives fast, you know, faster than how he moves, you know likely what's going to be the outcome, isn't it? So you can see how, where one starts, you see how the present, the future, they already exist. For the snail, not yet, it doesn't see the future, but you can see it, because when you are at a higher vibration, you see things from a different perspective, you realize that everything exists already. So this is point number 1. Point number 2, parallel realities. And this connects exactly with what I said. Think from a snail perspective. Let's take the car away. So let's take the danger away. There's no danger for the snail. Okay, it's a beautiful snail, has a beautiful life, loves his life, he's joyful, he's singing, he's dancing, he does all the things the snails do. Let's think now from the perspective of a snail. How many options he has? Because he goes on one path, but then he can go left, he can go right. So imagine he can do 360 direction, yes? Let's see, it's more than 360, but let's split it in 360 because he can go in between. Let's say he has 360 directions at the same time. And now I'm going to, so how you might say, how he can connect to different realities? How is that possible? And I had this question, I was, how is this possible? And I heard this analogy of a radio. So now I'm going to transition to the radio. So imagine you're at home, and you're home and you're sitting and you listen like it was in old times. If you remember, even perhaps you don't know, it's the same thing happens on your phone, or when you listen to certain music, you click to a certain channel which is on a certain vibration. So same thing was with the radio. So they were tuning to a certain vibration. Yes. So for example, if it's 100, let's say, I don't know, megahertz, it connects and then it listens classic music. If it's 120, it's hip hop music. If it's 140, it's dance music. It's club music, any other kind of music. The music doesn't start when you do the connection, or the music exists already. Because the frequency, they are already produced, they exist already in the field. So every style of music, the channels, they already exist. You only have a device here that you connect to a certain channel, and then you perceive certain music. Do you want to hear the beauty of this? We actually have one here. The neurons, they have a function of emitting energy vibrations and absorbing vibrations. So we have here the potential to do exactly the same thing. And this is to say, we have the option, we have the power to switch our state. Like that snail, coming back to the snail has the option, has the awareness, and this is where the wider picture helps. Because when one has a wider picture and he sees the potential, he sees the probabilities, it knows that it's possible to happen. And this is the purpose of the video. When you know that you have the potential, and the potential is there, that gives one the power and gives the confidence that it's possible to see it. Because we tend to believe what we see, and if we don't see, we don't believe, isn't it? How many people, I've been myself in that situation when I heard some things that I haven't heard or seen. I said, no, I need to see it first. And then I believe, like electricity, you cut the cable, do you see the electricity? So it's to come back to this principle. So this is, I've heard recently this, and it's about tuning. It's about what we're thinking. Because we have choice to stay on the same road or to go on a different road. If it's an easy or not journey, that's a different thing. I've seen, for example, let's talk about placebo. There is placebo that works, so you can have evidence that it works, and you can find evidence that doesn't work. And this is exactly like that radio. Depends on which frequency you switch. They're both true. For the people who experience, if somebody wants to listen the probability that exists, and they want to have that experience. So for example, let's say the snail wants to do left. If the snail goes left, he has an experience on the left side. But then if he wants to experience on the right side, let's say he switched that it doesn't work, then he's going to have the perception that it doesn't work. And it's going to be true for him. So you can see how they are all possible. So there are two possibilities. Let's say in this case, and they both exist. Same like the music. So this is how they say that I heard theories that everything that we can do exists already. It's like those channels of the radio. They are very small frequency. It's how we connect to them, which one we feel. And this is important because it has to come from the heart. It has to follow a natural flow, regardless what happens. Very often, and this is sometimes you might find in a situation where we don't want a certain situation, or perhaps we are aware of the bigger picture and we still want to change things, we still want to do it. I've been in that situation, in situation in life where I was very confused and I said, no, I want to change. I know that I have the power to change it. I want to change this direction. And when I was, it's important to be done in a very calm space, in a space of pureness, in a space of heart, or in a space of like, how does it feel? Does it feel naturally for me to do this? Because what if there is a lesson? What if there is something to learn? What if there's a new experience to learn from that? And here I'm going to switch, I'm going to transition. Uh, I'm going to transition to something, and then I'm going to come back to the deja vu. I'm going to end with that. And I'll tell you a story about this, how it relates, because it's important to have an understanding to come naturally. Because what if we choose in this? And there is a story. I've learned this in the past in a certain book. And there was a say, so there is this, if you heard, there are certain countries in the world where there is a principle that once a man reaches a certain stage in life, when I mean like age, and he's fine with everything, he just goes in the forest and lives in the forest, a secluded life for the rest of his life. He wants to be detached from the world. So it's that principle. And he goes in the forest, and what happens after a while? He finds a baby deer, and he finds next to his mother, who mother was killed by a wild animal. And then he sees his baby deer confused and shriveling, so he takes the baby deer with him and takes him um, where he was living. And he's looking after the deer. He feeds him, it grows in. The deer, baby deer grows, is now a mature deer. And after a while, the deer disappears. And he also feels that his days are coming towards that time when it's time to go in a different dimension. And then he still thinks about the deer. How old the deer? What happened with the deer? What if something happens? So he still has, how should I say, a certain attraction, a certain charge, a certain, I don't have the word in the moment now. So still thinks about, there's a potential there. He thinks about the deer. And then when he transitions on before his last breath, the deer appears and the deer licks him. And when he sees the deer, he's in a very peaceful state. She's like, yeah, he has that picture of the deer. And then he goes and then he reincarnates. This is deer reincarnation. It's for everybody to experience. I don't say it exists or it doesn't. It's for you to see how it feels for you. However, in the story, he comes back on the planet, and this time he comes back as a deer as an animal. And he comes as a deer and he experiences the life of a deer animal. However, he still has awareness of what he has done previously, and somehow a certain level of awareness. And in the forest where he grows as a baby deer, there is a group of sages, there is a group of people. They are more, they talk certain topics, spiritual topics and philosophic topics. And he's intrigued. He hears something similar. He's like, there is something about it that he hears it. And he spent a lot of time with them. He was listening. Of course, he could not interact, but he was sitting with them, and he found himself at peace with the people that they were there. So there were sages, there were people, there were like swamis, if you like. So there were those kind of, there was that kind of group of people. And he was sitting next to them and listened to their stories all the time. He was not with the animals, he was next to the people. And then as the time went, at some point, he left his dear body. And then when he came back, he went to the cycle again. He came back again as a human, and he was actually a sage himself. He had the same life like those people had, that he admired, that he wanted to be like. He was wondering how it will be to be like this. Or it can be in a wandering, or it can be in an opposite. Sometimes if someone has a certain energy, like how this person can do this, how this can happen, how can somebody do something like this, that energy also can contribute to an experience, because the person ends with a wonder how they can do, and then maybe they choose to experience that. And perhaps that experience, that lesson, coming back to the road, they want to experience perhaps the life of a snail, like how this snail can be so stupid that he doesn't see a car. And then perhaps next lifetime, he is the snail, he has the experience, and he sees how is to be a snail, and perhaps not having the awareness that the car is coming. And then it'll be like, ah, so this is how it is. And this is something again that puts me at peace, and also it brings me from that bigger perspective, and it gives a lot of choices. And now the final part, the third part, the deja vu. Have you seen that a movie for the second time, that after a while, and sometimes you perhaps forgot that you watched the movie? Did that happen to you? Like you watch a movie, you perhaps forgot the title of the movie, and then after a while, let's watch. Someone invited for a movie, and like, oh, I think I've seen this movie before, and you perhaps had deja vu before. And I've heard different theories of what deja vu is. So I heard the scientific theory, and I heard the other theory. And I was more keen on this one, and I was more curious about, even if I heard scientifically exactly how they explain the brain, the delay of the brain, and all that stuff, I was like, I can see it, but I don't resonate with it. So it's like what actually it is. And I'm going to share now perspective, what it can be. It's for you to explore. And imagine like the movie. So you're watching a movie, yes? And you can say you see the movie, let's say on this instance, you see it for the first time. So the movie starts and you watch the movie. I'm going to ask you a question related to point one. Did the movie, so the way how you watch the movie, so for you, you are 5 minutes into the movie. What happened between those 5 minutes is the past, and where you are now in the movie is the present. And what's going to be in the movie that you don't know, that's the future, yes? My question is that movie in making now, or the movie it's done already? So the movie exists. So beginning, present, a moment they already exist. It's there already, isn't it? So, but for the person, it doesn't know that because it's there. But what if the knowledge, what if there was a point in time, like let's say, what if there's that cycle? Let's say the person is aware of that cycle. And what if at a certain point in time, not on this time, at a different time, he has chosen to have a certain experience. He knew what the experience he would like to be, like for example, the road, he wants to experience a road, and he knew the experience. So when you come back to the movie, he has a familiar feeling. Oh, I've been here before. Like, it's familiar. I know this from somewhere and I cannot explain it from where. How do you feel? If you have, I would like to connect with anyone that enjoy this, that likes to explore the space. I'm still exploring the space. What I presented here is the perspective, and that's only there it is. If you know, if you would like to share something, I'll be happy to hear how you can contact me. Find your way. And also, I like to connect. If you think I will be, because I have some questions. I have a few questions that I still like to explore. So I'm still enjoying that path, and I hope you do as well.